So my name is Angelina, and I'm 24 years old, and I'm from Camden, New Jersey. Growing up, I had a really rough childhood. My dad passed away when I was 7 years old, and then my mother became an addict. She lost everything, so we started living in hotels with various friends of hers, on the streets, in abandoned buildings in Camden. It was very hard growing up and having a stable school to be in and go to school and find love and acceptance. I have 5 brothers and sisters, and fortunately, God kept us together, and we all got adopted by a woman that was my mother's friends who already had 5 children. So the numbers grew and we became 11. My mother was using heroin, and it was very rough. It was very rough being in an abandoned house in Camden that had no heat, no electric, no windows, boards on the windows as doors. DYFS came and removed us, and that was August 28th, 13 years ago, and that was the last time that I see my mother. While being in my foster home with my parents, I was sexually molested, verbally abused, and physically abused. And I was basically used however they needed to use me. When I was around 14, I started to get a job to tend for myself, to get things that I needed. I started partying, started just smoking weed and drinking and going to parties and working and just doing whatever I could to be out of that house. When I was 17 years old, I was kicked out of the house. I was kicked out of high school my senior year, and I never really knew what it was that I needed. I moved out, and that's when I started experimenting with different types of relationships, with women, with men, and with just anybody that I thought paid me any attention. So a couple years went by of being on my own and holding a job and getting a car, and thought that I was living good and that I was taking care of myself. I met a woman, 2008, who had a daughter, and we began seeing each other, and we moved in with each other. And it was just what I thought at first. I thought that it was just love and that somebody wanted me. And deep down inside, I was yearning for that affection from my mother and not seeing her and not having her. So it was really hard emotionally. I was very confused. I was verbally abused. I was basically like I was a possession, that I wasn't somebody that somebody cared about, that I was just somebody that somebody wanted to have. So I did go back to school, and I did graduate and get my diploma. I was working, and she was selling drugs, and that's when she introduced me to what is called Oxycontin. And I started sniffing them, Percocets, cocaine, and then she introduced me to heroin. As soon as I tried heroin, I felt all the pain that I was feeling in my heart and in my mind go away. I felt numb, like I really felt like I didn't have to deal with things for what it really was. That was in the summer, and I remember just by like September, October, I had lost my house and my car, my job, whoever I was, and I moved to the streets of Camden. I began prostituting. She told me that the way that I can support both of our habits was to prostitute. In the midst of that, she had lost her daughter, and it was really rough. I had no shelter, no protection, no love, no comfort. I was just running. I was running away from who I really was, and just running towards drugs and different types of men and things like that. Being on the streets for 4 years, I was in and out of a lot of different jails. hospitals, really just any place that people that are addicted to drugs would end up. My family wanted nothing to do with me, my brothers and sisters. I had no friends. I had nobody to truly love me and accept me and to basically give me hope. So that's when I met this detective in Camden, and he saw me a little bit of bloody and bruised up because I had just got done fighting with my ex-girlfriend. And he had told me that he could help me. So he said, I'm gonna fake arrest you and I'm gonna get you out of here. So he put me in handcuffs and then put me in the back of his car, and he drove around with me for about an hour, hour and a half. Went and got me an ice pack for my hand because it was bruised, and he was talking to me as if he really wanted to know more about me. He told me that he had to drop me off because he had to get back to work and his shift was ending. And he knew that I was a drug addict and that I was prostituting. And he said, I know you do cocaine, but I have something that can help you. And he handed me 2 bags of heroin and his card, and told me that if I ever needed anything, that he could help me. From that day, it started being every day I started to see him morning, noon, night on his second job. He would provide for me money and drugs and cigarettes, shelter. From the rain, he would drive me around. I was really confused, but I kind of at first grew to love the attention. And I really thought that he was protecting me. Now I know that it was only out there to hurt me. He started to use me after a couple months to get to other women, to try and draw them in to fulfill his sexual desires that he had. I was sick and I was very confused. I was lost and I was hurting. But by the grace of God, when I was on the streets, the first time that I had met Brenda and Helen, they came to me and started to pray for me, and I cursed at them and I ran, and I didn't want nothing to do with them, and I just told them that I wanted to get high. And Brenda said that she knew where I was at because she was there too. And I was really confused because I didn't think that somebody that looked like that wanted just to hug me, being all dirty and bloody, that she would care. I never met her. I never really had anybody to care about me. She gave me her card, and from that day out, it was like a repeated cycle that I kept seeing her every day. She would always come out and look for me. She would provide clothing for me and food and prayer, and she told me that God had a better life for me, that I just had to accept him and just get away from everything. Being hard-headed, it took me quite a while, almost a year, to accept the treatment that she was giving me. God sent his angels to rescue me, and it really has touched my life. I was sent to the Walter Hoven home September 19th of 2012, and I'm still there. She is my phone support, my love support. She prays with me, and she comes and visits me, and it's just, God is doing a miracle in my life through her. And it's just really awesome to know that somebody loves me and supports me and cares about me and believes in me. While being at the home, my mother, I haven't seen my mother in 13 years, and I had found out that she had overdosed on heroin in Newark. It was really hard. It was very hard. I went street witnessing there a couple nights ago, and I seen the hotel that she overdosed at. And I was with 5 of the ladies from the Walter Hoven home, and we formed a circle and we prayed. And we thanked God that I was able to be there and pray, but also to thank God for my life, that was not me. I truly believe that God's grace was upon me during the streets, in the jails, in the hospitals, and even being at the Walter Hoven home. The Walter Hoven Home it's amazing. It introduced me to Jesus Christ. I'm a new person today. I know that I have a purpose for my life and that I'm not supposed to be that drug addict prostitute. I now have a future. I soon to complete the program on December 19th. I am enrolling in Nyack College to take up a degree for nursing. God has delivered me from issues of homosexuality, anger, rejection issues. He has given me the vision of a husband and a family and children, and to put him first in my life. And it's just really amazing, the life that I have now. And without Brenda and Helen and their ministry, I don't honestly think that I would be here today.